Hi, baddies. Welcome back to another episode of Terra's Baddies Club. I have a lot of exciting news that I'm excited to talk to you about today. For one, I'm going to be at a festival, True Crime and Paranormal Festival in Colorado this year. It's going to be the second weekend of July. I get to see all my friends. I get to see people that took the podcasting course. And also, you could always take the podcasting course anytime. I have all that material recorded, all the homework recorded, so you could take it anytime. And then I'll do a series of live videos later on that I need a plan still, but that's going to be in the works. I have a lot of stuff going on right now, but you get to join those live videos later on if you take the course. So I'm excited to see the people that took the podcasting course, that created a podcast, Sins and Survivors. They are one of the people out there that took the course, and I'm so excited to see their podcast now. And then I have a few other people that are building their podcast right now, so I'm really excited to see what they're going to do with it. And they have kept me updated along with the process, so I will tell you guys when their podcast comes out. So check out Sins and Survivors. They'll be there. I also get to see my friends from Murder Diaries there. They were also a part of the podcasting course, gave a good talk. They're going to be there connecting with fans. And then there's also going to be Justin from Generation Y, Lainey, there's going to be Shay, and all these amazing people. And then also today's guest, which I'll talk a little bit more about her, but Nancy, she's going to be there with Damsel in Defense and talking about the products that we talked about on today's episode. And you get to test them out and try them out in person as well there. So True Crime and Paranormal Festival, I hope you guys come. If you guys don't come, let me know if you're in the area. Love to meet you. I'm also going back to somewhere where I lived before. It's also going to be in Westminster, Colorado. That was where I had my first apartment ever with a roommate. So that will be good times, some reminiscing, and I'll also tell you stories about that on a later episode for why I left, because apparently I always have stories for everything. And another thing is that I have a 30-day trauma journal. You can buy that anytime at my website, Terra Newell Survival. That really helps with trauma. It really has given me a lot of tools. And also you could go do it for 30 days every day, do a journal exercise. It's really fun. I endorse it myself, And I'm just laughing at myself. And today's intro is really long. I also want to talk about how I have a Sedona retreat coming up. It's going to be September 13th through the 16th. I am really excited because the last one I had last year went really well. I had another lady do a sound bath class with Reiki healing, and it was really cool to be in this kind of like a hut. That's what I want to say. And so it was like a dome hut. We did a sound bowl class, and she did some Reiki on us. It was really magical. We're going to be doing that again this time. Then we're going to be having lunch at Delphine. So I'm really excited for the little changes, but we're going to be doing some hikes, some yoga there. It's really going to be a magical healing journey for your heart, whether you went through that romantic breakup or you're dealing with grief of any sort. This is for you to heal yourself. And I would love to have you join. If you want to join, please send me an email or just go to my link in my bio and just book a 15-minute call with me. So I believe that's all the announcements that I have for today. And now let's get into today's episode with Nancy from Damsel in Defense. She dedicates herself in safety prevention, and I am so excited to have Nancy on today. So there is going to be some loud noises. They may be triggering. They did kind of trigger me at first because she just zaps them. So just be prepared for some zapping and some loud noises in this episode. I want all my trauma survivors to be prepared. So let's get into it. Nancy. Thank you so much for joining me today. For the people that don't know who you are, why don't you tell them a little bit about who you are?
Well, my name is Nancy Abercrombie, and I am so honored, Terra, that you would have me on your channel. I am so excited about being here. I am known in the world, business world, as Damsel Ninja Nancy. I have been a safety educator for 10 years, but my emphasis is in abduction prevention. I actually got to meet you at a crime event. And those are my people because, they understand the need for protection. But that's really how I got into the abduction prevention part. I can't stand the thought of missing people. My heart hurts for them. We get to meet them at Crime Con, a lot of their families. And I wish that I had a magic wand that I could just wave over them and they could know what's happened to their loved ones. And my husband and I are on a search team. And I just can't stand that thought. So that's why my emphasis is in abduction prevention.
Thank you so much for sharing that, and I'm so happy that you do that because that's so important. And I love how we met at True Crime and Paranormal Festival. It was funny because Lainey actually put you on the other side of me so that I wouldn't hear the tasers go off. And I told Lainey later, and I told you, I was like, no, those don't bother me. It's like if someone is like a loud punch or like a drop or like sounds like a gunshot, that's different than tasers.
Yeah. Well, I actually use stun guns. So tasers don't necessarily make that sound.
Okay.
But the stun gun sound, I always tell people that's your first line of defense.
Yeah.
That's what you want is that sound. So I love that, yeah, because I was so scared I was going to traumatize you. I remember I walked up and said, please tell me. And you looked at me like I was crazy. And you were like, I want to touch them.
I want to play with them. And I'm sorry if I said taser. I think I call everything a taser,
It's Hollywood. Everybody does it. Everybody does it. Yeah.
The bear mace, that's a taser.
Yeah. You know what? I don't care what you call it as long as you carry it.
Yes. I have so many little ones just around the house, but I love yours, and especially there was so many different safety features on each one of them.
Mm-hmm. And so we have a couple. Okay. I have to do a timeout. I don't have a stun gun. I left it in the car.
No worries.
Because I always carry it with me.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
And then you don't bring out your full-on kit everywhere,
No, you know what? It depends on where I'm going, what I'm going to do, what I'm carrying. So I am a merchandiser. So I go into Walmarts and Kroger's and Albertsons and places like that. But the number one place where people are abducted or assaulted is a grocery store parking lot.
Okay.
Which is crazy. I mean, you think about it, that's where people go all the time. But that's why. People go there all the time. They're not paying attention. They park in the same area of the parking lot because when you come out, how many times have you thought, where's my car? I don't even know where my car is. So I love that people are paying more attention to where they're parking. They are paying attention to being out there. But I want to carry my stun device with me all the time. And one of the reasons is as we get older, your body turns on you, Terra. Your time's coming.
I already know.
Nobody really tells you that, but I can't see in a parking lot anymore. And one of the reasons is because there's not enough light out there. At 61, I don't see as well as I used to. So I carry mine a lot for the flashlight. You can see how bright that is. And that's okay to have a flashlight in your hand. Now you can see where you're going. I also don't feel my right foot. So if I step on something, I may fall over because I can't right myself like other people do because I don't even know I've stepped on something.
Yeah.
So at 61, I feel like I am more of probably a target than I have ever been.
Okay.
They're looking at me as, oh, look, she's older. She probably is not going to expect me to come at her. She's definitely not going to be able to fight back because I can physically overtake her. Remember, you're people who And Tara, who knows this better than you? The person who's coming after you thinks that they can physically overtake you.
Oh,
And
yeah.
when you fight back, because your life is worth the fight, when you fight back, it puts them in a situation that they did not know that they were going to be in.
Yeah, because they expect us to go to the freeze mode, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And a lot of people do. And so
Yeah.
that's why you should always have layers of pieces. So on the stun device, what I like is that sound. Now, my dog
It's
just
like
got mad at me.
Disneyland.
So I like the sound. Now, I live in Texas, and we can pretty much carry anything. But I do know anywhere you can threaten somebody with your stun gun, where I can't my concealed carry or anything until they have threatened me. But if
Okay.
I feel uncomfortable, let's say I'm walking out to the parking lot, and I want your listeners to really, and your watchers to really understand your intuition's there for a reason. It is there to protect you, and you should always listen to it because it's always going to be right.
Oh,
Your
yeah.
intuition's never going to let you down.
Yeah.
So it is legal for you to no, get away from me, and
Yeah.
make that noise to them so that they know they have to get away. You're going to
Yeah.
fight back. A lot of times that's going to be them being, she's going to be too much trouble. So you may not even see what's going on, but you can set that off. And I like that.
And that would have been great if I had a stun gun to just stun John, so I wouldn't have to take well, I didn't take his knife, he dropped it, I kicked it out of his hand, but it would have been great to have that so he didn't have to get bloody in a sense. But,
Well, I think
you
he
know,
might have stopped and thought. He thought you were going to be easy. He thought he knew you well enough to think that you weren't going to fight with him back, that he was going to have that element of surprise. And you were smart in the fact that you knew that this could happen. You were already planning in your head, if he shows up, I'm going to fight.
yeah. Well, I first tried to flee first because that's what I
Oh,
recommend
absolutely.
anyone to try to do. Run away, run to help. But you can't do that when you're not able to detach from it. And so I really like what you have. And then you even told me about this pin that you guys have with signing autographs.
Oh, yes. I love that pen. Okay, so now it's changed a little.
Okay.
Now it has on the end of it, and I don't have one right here handy, but on the end of it has a little steel tip.
Okay.
And the reason that is now is so that you can break a window.
God bless.
So I want you guys to understand too that like with Kubotons, and we call them socket slims, you can't break a window with that because they're made out of aluminum. Now,
Okay.
aluminum is not going to break, bend, or crack, but it won't break your tempered glass. So I love ours. It's a pen. You can write with it, but it has that little steel tip on it. And so you can hit a glass and it'll break the glass. Now, the other point I like about this, and this, some of your listeners are probably going to go, what's wrong with her? But it's really sharp. And if you hit somebody and hit it, it's going to be like hitting them. It's going to cut their skin.
Okay.
So I always tell people if that happens, you're going to get a little bit of their DNA in that pen,
Yep.
and that's okay because you may have to give that pen up to the cops so that they can get that out. I have a guarantee on everything that I sell. If you use it and the bad guy takes it from you or the police keep it, put it in a police report, get me a copy, I'll replace it for free. Damsel's the only company I know that goes to that extent.
Yeah. No,
You
I
know,
really like your company, or well, not like your company,
yeah,
but like,
but my
the,
company, yeah.
yeah, like your company. But I think that it's really great because you have that guarantee on
Mhm.
it, and you took the time to show me how to use everything, and it got me so excited, and I was able to even test the stun gun
Yes,
or
yeah, yeah.
and zap it. Or,
Yeah, and that's really important too because when you go to buy, and I want everyone to understand and stop and think, your safety is your responsibility. It is not anyone else's. I hear all the time, I never go anywhere without my husband. Well, that's a kind of different kind of abuse we need to talk about.
Oh yeah.
But, or I never go anywhere alone, or, like I live in a safe neighborhood, and my response to that is that on earth? 'Cause is it? But your safety is your responsibility. So in Texas, they're big on their lethal weapons. And I love Roger. I named mine. His name is Roger.
Okay.
And I love him, but it's not the only thing that I can carry. And so there are places that you can't go with certain things. And you need to know what your laws are, because it's just as easy to follow the law and have something that you can take with you than to use something that is not lawful and then get yourself in trouble later on the back end.
Yeah.
So I always tell people, layer your protection, because no matter where you go, we have whistles, we have alarms that you can take on a plane, on a cruise ship. I can't, if I go overseas, I can't have my stun device or my pepper spray. In a lot of countries, it's not legal.
Yeah.
And a lot of places, you have to really watch what you're carrying. So it's easier to be legal than not.
Yeah. When you are traveling, how do you look up those laws to make sure that you could take it with you or not take it with you?
Well, if you're going anywhere in America, the 50 states, you can go to my website, and at the very bottom it says state restrictions, and it'll
Okay.
tell you what is restricted where you're going. But if you're going overseas, I'm going to be going to Mexico. I earned our incentive trip, and so I'm going to Mexico with my husband. So I will look up, what can I carry, or is stun devices legal in Mexico, or pepper sprays? I already know they're not. So I know then I need to take my whistles that are my necklaces. I'm going to take my alarms. I'm going to take those pieces that I know that are legal. I've already looked that up. But it's very easy to look it up. Just Google. Google can be your friend
Okay.
at any age. So
We like
and
a
just
good
look those up.
Google.
Yeah. But if you are traveling, look at those. Like, we have a lockdown that you can use in a hotel room on the hotel door. I always take it. I travel a lot with Damsel, and a lot of times I'm by myself, and I love a good Airbnb. One, I love to support the person who's working to make a living. And I'm really nosy, and I really love people's houses and see how they decorate and
I
what
love
they
it.
do. And I love to have the conversation with the host. I'm that person who stays with them. But also at the same time, you still have to be careful of yourself, because you are staying in a place that you've never stayed before, or sometimes it's different. But always take something that you can lock the door with. I always tell them before I get there, I sell protection, so I'm going to have my stun gun in my room with me, my pepper spray. Is that okay with you? I always ask permission. And then that kind of tells them, hey, this is somebody who knows about safety
Yeah.
and who is aware of their safety. And that can be a red flag for them too. If they're up to no good, they're probably not going to want you to stay with them.
100%. And they're not going to want you, or if they're a bad person, they're not going to want you to have those things. So they're going to be like, hey, no,
Yeah.
you can't bring that. So that's good that you ask that and you make sure that they know that your safety is a priority.
Yeah. Plus, my car says Damsel Ninja Nancy all over it too, so they'll figure it out.
Right? You got to, like, hey, and you might make some sales. You never know.
Well, and I have before, because there are some women out there who they have a big house, and they're an empty nester, and they want to make a little bit of extra money. It's a great way to meet people. The other thing with some of we have 3 stun devices that if you put it around your wrist, if they take it away from you, it disengages and they can't use it back on you.
Yeah. And if you're on the Patreon or the YouTube, you could see this.
Yeah, and then there's 2 of them that don't have that disabled pin, but they are just as useful as the other ones. So if
Okay.
anyone wants more information, Tara, all they have to do is email me, text me. My phone number is on my website. Let me know how I can help them, because I don't want them to buy something from me and not really understand what they're getting.
Yeah.
You know, that's the most important part of a safety educator, is to make sure that when you get your protection, it is the best thing for you, you know?
Yeah, no, and I really like I love asking you all these questions because I was genuinely interested in the products and what you were doing, and I had to ask you so many things, I feel like. I was like,
I
"What's
love
this?
that.
And what's
I
this
love that.
about?"
Yeah.
Yeah. And something we talked about too at one of the conventions is the door for traveling, that little
Mhm.
lock that goes on. And we were talking about it, how my sister travels with her daughter for volleyball, and those
Oh,
people can even be targeted as well, right?
oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Our young generation, our young women, we really have to talk to them differently than how we've ever had to talk to our young women before. There's more red flags that they have to look for, especially when they get up to where they're driving and they're out getting a job. I mean, we have to allow them to be free and spread their wings and find out who they are, but we still want them to be safe as they're doing that. We have several pieces too that I suggest at that age, especially if they're a traveling volleyball or basketball athlete. We have a brush that's round that the end of it comes off, and you can store either one pepper spray, or it will store like their money if they're going on a trip. Nobody's going to look in their brush.
Yeah.
You know, hide hair in the brush. My favorite piece is the we call this the hear me out. And it
Okay.
is my number one piece right now for girls and boys that are, or young men who are getting jobs, having their first car. So what it is we have an app that you can download for free. There is no subscription and no hidden cost in this app. It's called Shield Community by Damsel in Defense. You download the app, and then you can put in the app 5 superheroes. I call these your flat tire five. So if you got a flat tire at 3 a.m., one, who could you call that would answer the phone?
Yeah.
And two, who would come and get you? Those are who you put in as your contacts. Now, if, let's say you're out and about, and God forbid you ever get in a situation that you have to hide and you can't call out or you can't run. You always want to run first. If you can get away, that's the first thing I tell people: get away, get out of the situation. But if you can't, then we have on the back, there is this button that you can push.
Okay.
Now, my husband's getting a text message that says, I'm in a situation, and it GPSs my location to him. And it keeps going off every minute as long as I'm within 300 feet of my phone. And it doesn't stop going off until I go into the app and hit I'm safe now. I put in, when I do that, it will ask me for my code. So I
Okay.
put in my code, and it will stop sending him messages. If I'm still in trouble and the situation is the assaulter wants me to put in a code, I put in the wrong code, and it will
Okay.
still send the message to him.
Okay.
Now, if you're out and about and your teenager is in a situation, or your loved one, and they can pull, it's going to make that sound. It's going to bring attention to them. And one thing I want people to understand is, if people think it's a domestic situation, a lot of times they're not going to help.
Yeah.
So don't yell fire or help, yell stranger and I don't know you. And then when you get attention from somebody, yell 911, 911, so that it makes people understand they need to call 911. A lot of
Yeah.
times something can be going on and people don't understand what they're seeing.
Yeah.
They don't understand that this is not a situation where your teenage daughter's just being mean and this man is her father and he's just saying you're gonna mind me. I mean, how many times have we seen that and we're like, is that a situation? Is it not? And we really want our young people to be up and really watching what's going on, really having that plan, having something that they know that they can reach out to somebody with if they are being followed, because now they're at Walmart by themselves or something, they feel like they're being followed. They need to go to customer service.
Okay.
They need to stand with their backs to the wall so that they can see what's happening around them. They need to report what's happening, and they need to call one of their superheroes immediately. Now,
Okay.
usually the manager will call the police or something, but tell them do not leave and go to their car. If they feel uncomfortable, that's a reason. Your parents, your aunt, your grandmother are never going to be mad because they had to come to Walmart to help you because you felt unsafe. It's never
Yeah.
going to happen, you
Yeah.
know.
Does this happen at a lot of like Walmarts? And also, I heard Targets because one of my friends told me that she got followed in Target, and then someone came up to her and told her, "Hey, I don't want you to freak out, but this guy has been watching you and your kids. You need to
I don't think
call
it's
someone."
Walmart and Target. I don't want to
Okay.
target them because I love Walmart and Target, man. I
Yeah.
shop at both of them all the time. They have the best deals. But it's any place in public.
Okay.
Because now we have a lot more people that are being sex trafficked than ever before, and they're being watched, they're being targeted. One of the things too is when you walk to your car, if you have a four door, especially as a teenage girl, walk to the other side first, just kind of glance at your passenger side, because they're taking a zip lock and putting it around the handle door on the back passenger. Now they have targeted you.
Okay.
But how many times do you walk out to the car and get in the car? Do you ever look at your passenger side? I realized today I left 3 stores, and on the way home after the third store, I thought, I did not look at my passenger door, not once. So when I got home, I looked at it. It was fine, but
Okay.
you need to kind of make sure, walk around. If they're leaving notes on your car doors now, you
Okay.
don't take those off, because what they're doing is they're lacing them with, when you touch them, a drug that can help you pass out. Now you're in the car passed out, you know.
Yeah.
Make sure you're locking the car once you get in. Checking the back seat, looking at the back seat as you get in. Lock the car immediately. you
Okay.
know. And one of the biggest things is, and God bless moms, because it must be so hard to be a mom, because it is. I have nieces, and I have a great niece that just now had a baby, and I love them, but I'm thinking, oh my gosh, if I'm this world, I can't imagine being a mother being worried. But
Yeah.
one of the things that mothers want to do is that when their children leave work, they want to call and talk to them till they get in the car. Okay. Well, what are you doing?
Distracting them?
Exactly. Because now the guy who's the bad guy is looking, and that girl's on the phone. He knows that girl is on the phone and not paying attention to what's going on around her. Okay. And there was a survey several years ago, and those were the girls that the bad guys were looking for, were the ones that were being distracted. And here's the other thing is, if something's happening to your daughter, if she is attacked, if she's grabbed in the parking lot, what are you going to do? We don't have home phones anymore. If
Yeah.
your husband's not there, if there's no one else at home and you happen to be by yourself or whatever, and you're talking to him, you're never going to sever that tie with your daughter by hanging up to call the police to tell them that this is happening. There's not very many mothers. I mean, think about, are you going to do that? So that's one of those things that I want people to be very careful and know about. Now, once they get in the car and they've locked the car, the window should be up. If someone knocks on the window, they do not answer it. That you do not need to roll down your window to have somebody talk to you.
Okay.
If you are on the side of the road and you're waiting for your dad or whatever, you do not roll down your window. Even the police, you don't roll down the window. And when the police stop you, especially at night, you can turn on your hazards, call 911 and say, I'm being followed. Am I really being stopped by a policeman? Is this really a policeman? I'm on this road. I'm waiting to get to where there's light, because there's not any place to pull over on this road that there's light. You're not going to get in trouble for that. People think they're always going to get in trouble because they didn't pull right over. No, do your hazards so that he knows that you've seen him,
Yeah.
and call 911 and tell them where they are, because they're going to call and say, are you stopping? Are you in that area? Are you stopping this car? Well, she's on the phone. She's concerned.
Yeah. Okay. I like these tips. Is there anything other to do with these safety objects? I know some people say that you have to have them in hand.
Yes, absolutely. You want to have them in hand or have them on a breakaway. Like this piece is the socket to me. This is, instead of putting your keys in your hand, you're going to put this in your hand. But you're always going to have it on a breakaway so you can pull it off your
Okay.
keys or your fob, because ours are a little sharper. And I'll be really honest, if you hit it really hard and it sticks, you don't want to have to say, can I get my keys back first?
No.
No, that's not what you want. You want it to be pulled away.
Yes.
So, and I actually have one of these in my shower too, Tara.
Okay. Now this looks like, for the people that are not on Patreon or YouTube, I want to say like it looks like a little bit of a sexual object.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
but a lot thinner and
Sharper.
pointy and sharper to stab someone with.
If they go online and they look up Kubaton,
Okay.
they're going to see one. Ours are made a little different because we as women, let's be realistic. Women don't always fight back. We don't know how. That's not our nature. We have to learn that. That's a learned behavior for us. So a lot of times what this does is it has hand holds, finger holds. So when you put your hand in it, it fits perfect in your hand. Now you're not going to hurt yourself by fighting back.
Yeah.
And that's what that, and then the sharpness obviously is to do some, I don't want to say damage, but we want you to have the advantage. Who cares about him? He's made his choice. You know, it's about you and getting away, getting to safety, being able to fight back because you're worth the fight.
Yeah.
A lot of women will come to me and say, oh, nobody wants me now. It's, I'm too old. It's not about that. It's about the power that these scumballs feel when they are able to scare you. It's all about the endorphin rush.
Yeah.
So I always tell people, don't be somebody's dopamine.
I love that.
Just don't.
Yeah.
And it's okay to say, get away from me, stay away from me. Because if you feel threatened, it's okay.
Yeah.
To watch out for yourself. When it comes to your safety, don't be nice. You don't have to be nice and polite.
Yeah. Politeness when it comes to that.
Exactly.
But I do think that you have to gauge, where my friend and I were at a concert and these two drunk guys were coming up to us, and that's not the best when you're all alone in the parking lot. You guys are the last ones, but they were drunk and they were kind of like just bobbing and weaving, but innocent in a sense. But you could get them to escalate if you responded a certain way.
And I always tell people, put up your hand and say, no, that's far enough. I understand you've been drinking, but today is not the day.
Yeah.
Use the tone of voice that if you stole a car and your mother had to pick you up at the police station, she would use.
Okay.
Because that's an instant, oh.
See, but this guy was like, why are you acting like that? And then my response was like, oh, the party's over there. You should go over there. And then he was drunk enough where he went over there.
Very nice. And you do have to kind of gauge things.
Yeah.
Most of the time, they're not going to want to know why you're being that way.
Yeah.
And forgive me, but they're just going to be thinking, gosh, she's a bitch, and just walk away because they're looking for somebody who wants to have fun and party.
Yeah.
But you don't have to be that girl. And I always tell people, if they're cute at 2:00, they're going to be really handsome at 10 a.m. when you're having coffee the next day.
Yeah.
Right?
Hit me
if
up.
they were cute at 2, make a coffee date for 10.
Yeah.
You don't have to stick around. That's where people sometimes, Yeah,
well, I was just going to say, not for like the plan B the next day,
Yeah, make an appointment for next day. Make a date for the next day.
Yeah.
And then when you walk in and you see him and you think, oh, then you have a meeting at 10:30 that you forgot about.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Well, do you have any last minute safety tips for anyone out there?
Yes, I want to talk about really quickly. I just learned this a few months ago, but when you go to the ATM, if you have a fob, your car, usually when you put it into park, it unlocks the door so you can get out automatically, right? It gets your car prepared for you. You can reprogram that.
Okay.
Um, but when you put your car in park, immediately lock your doors again. Go to the ATM that's in the middle or go inside if it's day, sometimes don't ever go to the ATM in the middle of the night. I don't know why
Okay.
people do that, but they do sometimes.
I did
I
that
used
last
to do it
night.
when I was in my 20s. I was a waitress and I would go right to the ATM and put my money in. Now
See,
I'm thinking, oh my God.
for me, it's always a bill that I'm forgetting about that I'm like, oh,
Oh,
it's due the next day. It's 1 a.m. Okay, I'll go there. But I live in Irvine, and it's a little different here. But in a busier spot where LA, well, and I'm always like,
yeah,
who's watching me? Who are
yeah.
you? There was like a guy, and I was like, I literally stared him down because I was like, why are you here?
Well, you know what? That's one of those things too, Tara. Use your face, use your eyes, use your. If they know that you see them, now you can describe them.
Yeah.
And a lot of times they don't like that. Oh, back to the ATM. So guys now are getting into the ATM as you're
Okay.
parked there getting money out and they're robbing you. So make sure that your doors are locked when you go to the ATM. Um,
Okay.
but that's just sitting in a parking lot too. Don't ever just sit in a parking lot without locking your doors or whatever. But if you don't have anything with you too, make sure that you are handling yourself as someone who is not to be messed with. You're not on your phone walking out to the car. You're not drooping and walking because you've just had a bad day. You're standing up
Yeah.
straight. You're looking around. You're paying attention. I smile at people in the parking lot. At my age, I can get away with, "Oh, Chad." If somebody was coming at me, "Chad, how's your family?" He's going to go, "I ain't Chad, lady."
Yeah.
Yes, you are. How is your mother? Now they know that I can identify them because they look so much like my friend Chad.
Oh.
You know, so that's a way to kind of distance yourself too. But handle yourself like you're a baddie.
Okay. I like that. I like that. The plug. Well, that's great. Well, we're going to answer a few more questions for the Patreon after this. So stay tuned, guys, and join the Patreon. But where can we find you? Where can we get the poker that we talked about?
Okay. You can find me I'm on Instagram and Facebook as Damsel Ninja Nancy. My website is damselninjanancy.com because I want to bring out the inner ninja in all of us.
Yes. I love it. Well, thank you so much and stick around for the Patreon, guys. Thank you for listening to this episode of Terra's Baddies Club. I really hope to see you guys in Colorado and also Sedona if you want to join. I am just so excited for these trips that I have coming up. So I really hope I get to see you guys and I get to connect with so many people that listen to the podcast and all of that. And then I'm really excited to see Nancy there. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you feel like it, please give us 5 stars on Apple. A great review would be great. And then also, please subscribe to the podcast. And there is also a new algorithm change in Apple. So if you want to see this podcast pop up all the time, you go to your settings and you change something on your settings to say, I want to see all the episodes. And I'll post a video on my Instagram to also show you guys how to do that. But until next time, I'm Terra Newell, and thank you guys for listening.